Okay. Let's get this started. Should be able to hear myself now. I'm not. Anyway, let's try this. The program today is, and I've made it here, is to go a little bit again how you use the AI. I've already put it into the chat so you can see it there. I've made it quite easy. So now it's only, let me show you. Let's start with that. So let's get right into it. There we go. Hope you can see it. So the idea here is to use all the new generative AI to use it for the work of Martinus, who is a spiritual writer, thinker, whatever, and see how far we can get with it, basically with the AI, and how good answers we can get. So you can actually use it when I'm live. And the idea is that you have the chat and you write AI, and then you say, for instance, what is the living being? And that's something Martinus writes about. And then you enter it into the chat, and then the system picks it up, and it takes a little while. Let me just do one thing. I should say I have some new stuff on the channel today. It's not really improvement of the AI, but it's how we're using it, and I will show it to you in a minute. Let me just do this and that. Okay. So that's how the AI is working. And the idea is that now it has generated the answer, and it's fairly long sometimes. It's like half a page, so I cannot put it into the chat. So I have to show it on screen. So that's why it's only working when I'm actually online right now. So here is an old answer. Let's see, there are 6 unprocessed ones. And let's just skip to the last one. So here we go. Essentially what has happened here is that there's an input to the AI. What is the living being? And it gives a fairly long answer. So that's the idea. And as I said, I had a little bit of surprise, and it comes in a minute. I'm also working on a new long form video. It will come out on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure. I've recorded it and edited most of it, so it should come out on Wednesday. I should also say that we got a Discord channel. If you don't know what that is, maybe it's not that interesting. But this is so it's essentially a modern forum where we discuss the AI thing, how to do an AI based on Martinus' work, so we can get some good answers. Try to not having it hallucinating too much. Hallucinating is when they just make up answers. And there's also general chat, which we haven't used that much yet. Anyway, so let's get into what this new thing is. And essentially what I've tried to do is to make TTS. And now I should hear it myself. I heard it myself 30 minutes ago, so I hope it's still working. I should also hear myself right now, which I don't think I do. But let's give it a try. So what it does is essentially it takes the most recent answer, so it might not take the right one actually. Anyway, it shouldn't be a problem today. Maybe it will be at a later time if it's gonna be used a lot. Yeah. Anyhow, so let's hear it and then we can...
Input, what is the living being? Response, to ## unveiling the living being, Martinus's perspective on time, eternity, and existence. In Martinus Thompson's comprehensive spirit...
Let me just cut it here. So at least I figured out I should probably be able to cut it. It's pretty simple right now. It's using the Windows voices. I mean, you can change that. You can... Ultimately, you can do Martinus voice. And I think I've researched a little bit about this, and most people are saying you have to be careful on copyright, and there could be ethical issues with taking someone else's voice. So be careful here. And when the internet is saying you should be careful, you should probably be pretty careful. But you can take whatever voice, basically. So far, I've only done the basic stuff and just want to try to make it work. One thing it cannot do right now, and it's not that simple to make it work, is to stop it and start it again at the same place. TTS, which is text to speak, simply just start in a corner and then it goes on. So maybe it's not that useful, but it was fun to try it out, and I got to play a little bit around with my mixer and stuff. So for now, it's I can push a button here on my Stream Deck.
Input, what is the living being?
I should be able to turn it down.
Tag unveiling the living being, Martinus's perspective on time, eternity, and existence. In Martinus Thompson's comprehensive spiritual science, the living being emerges as a central concept, a foundational element for understanding the very nature of existence. It's more than just a physical form, it's a dynamic interplay of fundamental principles that define every aspect of reality, from the smallest atom to the vastest galaxy. Grasping...
Okay, let's... Okay, I need to make the answers shorter, at least. Let's try what it has answered. So this is... I'll go in a moment how this is all done. I do it on every stream, basically, because I think it's... I don't know why. I just do that. And I would also like to extend it a little bit today, so this might actually be a working stream. I need to do some research, try to figure out how to do references. So if you look at the text right now, it's just put out there, and there's nothing really... It's really hard to check it, to what extent it's hallucinating. So I need to find a way to make references, basically. So that's a goal, and I know it can be done. I just don't know how. So that's a thing. And the problem with what you want to avoid essentially is that, and whoever is online now, welcome. I'm trying to figure a way how to see who is actually online, but I cannot. So if you want to, please just put a note in the chat. That would be cool. I'm talking about the AI right now and how to use it. So go ahead if you want to do that. Essentially, you just drop, as it states here, AI. And whatever you want to message it, and we'll get it back in a second. So let me just show it again. 1 second, and we got it here. So this is the chat, and what you just do is that you do the period sign AI, and then just write whatever you want to write to the AI. And what this AI can do is basically look up in Martinus' work and use that. Or at least that's where we want to be. It doesn't do it quite well yet. But the idea is to feed the AI with a lot of information so the answers become better, basically. And the idea is also to have references. That's the first goal right now. So you can say, who is Martinus? I'm not sure it can actually answer that one. Let's do something else. What is the, I just did that. What is reincarnation? You can say according to Martinus, we don't have to do that, but let's just do that just for the fun of it. And then hit enter. You can try it. And then it goes to the AI, and it takes a little bit of time for it to crunch it. And now it has generated a response. So now it has actually generated a file. And what I can do with that file is to go to this screen and push here. Yeah, it takes, it takes a little bit for it to, it actually sometimes, I have 2 computers, so all the AI stuff is running on one computer, and I'm streaming from the other computer, so that file has to be moved, and I'm actually moving it manually with a script that only runs every 30 seconds. And I have to change that somehow. So it's gonna be what is it called, an event-driven thing. So it will be there immediately after it's done. Nothing seems to. Let me just check if it's there. It's there. Okay, a minute is a long time when you have to wait for it. Do. Let me put something up so I can follow what is going on. I want to be able to show a little bit more about what is going on, because then it makes it a little bit more fun to see what is happening. Here you go. I don't know what is happening here. It worked 5 minutes ago. Do. There we go. Okay, so now we have unprocessed. Maybe I should call it Q. Yeah, unprocessed. Let me change that immediately. Yeah, well, that's a longer thing. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so we have unprocessed one. That just means that I haven't shown it yet. So now I can just push another button. So there's some manual stuff, right? So here we go. So this is what we wrote. What is reincarnation according to Martinus? And now it comes into... So here's the response. This is the AI answering, and this number 2 here just means it's version 2, so I know which one of the AIs that we have called. There was a very basic one in the beginning that just was really basic, just to check that everything was working. And I'm trying to improve things every week, basically. So and that's why I'm also trying to stream once a week, because it's nice to have something new. It kind of motivates the whole thing and move the project. Anyway, so here we have the answer: reincarnation in Martinus' world picture, a continuous cycle of renewal. Let me do one thing. I like this better. So now we can actually see what's written here. Well, at least it become bigger, right? So here we go. So this is the machine answering, the AI. In the cosmology of Martinus Thompson, usually won't use his second name, or his second name, last name. Reincarnation takes on a fascinating perspective, diverging somewhat from traditional interpretations. That's a classic AI answer. It says pretty much nothing. Rather than being a dramatic event occurring after physical death, Martinus presents reincarnation as a subtle, continuous process deeply embedded in the fabric of daily life. Okay, so it's riding up against something where reincarnation should be drama. Martinus presents reincarnation as a subtle, continuous process deeply embedded in the fabric of daily life. Okay, it's a constant cycle of renewal, transformation, largely unnoticed by individual experiencing it. Okay, I don't know. According to Martinus, reincarnation is fundamentally linked to the replacement of old thought patterns and mental material with new ones. Yeah. This process happens constantly every single day. We are, in essence, constantly being reborn mentally and emotionally as we shed. Yada, yada, yada. I need to make it a little bit shorter. Anyway, so it's fun to see what's come out, and what you cannot see, but what I can see on the other computer is actually what material it used to make this answer. And let me just check it out.
Look, there are people who know a lot about AI, but
I started. I need to do like this. So what I'm looking at right now is basically how the AI created the answer. And I can actually see it had looked up Martinus' work at least once. And this is where it would be nice, and I think I will do this within the next couple of weeks so you can actually see how it works. Make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, so essentially the answer it has given is reincarnation, according to Martinus, is a process where the being does not notice it at all. It involves a daily replacement of old thoughts material by new thoughts material. It is a particular arrangement by means of which life can continue. It is the alternating organism that forms the basic for rebirth or reincarnation. It's a very short answer. Anyway, so that was is happening, and what I would like to do is to give it better input, basically, and I will explain that in 2 minutes. So what is new today is just mostly fun, so I can actually
input. What is reincarnation according to Martinus? Response to hashtag reincarnation in Martinus's world picture, a continuous cycle of renewal. In the cosmology of Martinus Thompson, reincarnation takes on a fascinating perspective, diverging somewhat from traditional interpretations. Rather than being a dramatic event occurring after physical death, Martinus presents reincarnation as a subtle, continuous process deeply embedded in the fabric of daily life. It is a constant cycle of renewal and transformation, largely unnoticed by the individual experiencing it. According to Martinus, reincarnation is fundamentally linked to the replacement of old thought patterns and mental materials with new ones. This process happens constantly, every single day. We are, in essence, constantly being reborn mentally and emotionally as we shed outdated perspectives and embrace new insights and understandings. This daily renewal of our inner landscape forms the very basis of what we traditionally understand as rebirth or reincarnation. Martinus emphasizes that this ongoing process is a specific arrangement, a carefully orchestrated mechanism that allows life to continue. It's not simply a random occurrence but a structured and purposeful aspect of existence. This continuous renewal ensures that we don't stagnate or become trapped in rigid patterns of thinking and behavior. It provides the necessary flexibility and adaptability for continued growth and evolution. The key to understanding Martinus's perspective lies in recognizing that the alternating organism, the dynamic interplay of old and new thought materials, is the foundation for this continuous process of rebirth. Just as our physical bodies constantly shed old cells and replace them with new ones, our mental and emotional landscapes are also in a perpetual state of flux. This constant turnover allows us to shed limiting beliefs, overcome negative emotions.
Okay, let's stop it there. I think it's pretty clear that it's for me it's nice to be able to comment on what is written there, and this technology is not there. What happened here? I don't know. I think my stream is okay. Yeah. That seemed a little bit weird. Anyway, so what I want to look at today is what is called embeddings. So let me explain what that is. And I need try to do it quick. Draw IO. Existing. Boom. Almost there. Goodie. So this is how we are doing. Uh-oh. Like this. So what is happening here is basically that the query I wrote just a minute ago, what is reincarnation according to Martinus, comes down here. There's a little piece of software, essentially a prompt. So this piece of software makes a prompt to like this large language model. That's what you know from ChatGPT. And it has some tools. So one thing that actually I need to know a little bit better what is going on here, but there are some, let's just call it a little bit of magic here. So this is our AI agent. So the AI agent is essentially a piece of software that can use a large language model like ChatGPT, and it has some tools and it has some memory. So here we got the normal ChatGPT in this area. So we have the actor or the user, where you can prompt, right? You can write stuff to the AI, and it gives some answers. And here you don't write it directly to the LLM, you write it to this AI, and it can use the LLM for different things. I think I'll just take these off because it gets really warm. So you can use the LLM for that, or the AI agent uses the LLM. So instead of you are writing the LLM, the AI agent is writing the LLM. And it's actually asking the LLM to provide, for instance, instructions on how to do this. So it could be go and ask Martinus Wiki for information about a certain thing, or it could be to go to this vector database. So in this vector database, we got the work of Martinus, so it can actually ask for that. Yeah. So that's I think I'll just not look at how many is on the stream right now. Just need to be focused on what is going on. So let me get back to what I was talking about. So essentially, instead of giving, this is an LLM, right? So you have you as a user here. Maybe we should do like, damn it. And you're also here. So this is you, and this is you. Or me, or someone in the chat or something who writes. Not a prompt, but just an inquiry. Just something normal, a question, right? What is reincarnation? Boom, boom. Here we go. Sorry. And it takes that and use it. So I'm actually writing a prompt here where I incorporate this query from you as a user. And it goes in here and some magic happens. It can ask the LLM, which is the same as ChatGPT, on how to do that. So I have essentially instructed it to, you have these tools, and I would like to have an output at a certain, like you can do with ChatGPT, right? You can ask it to make it into a table, or make a blog post, or make a Instagram post, or whatever you need, right? And here it's like you have instructed it to be an AI agent, and you have these tools, you have some memory, and so forth, and it starts acting based on that. Anyway, so right now what we have is the LLM, and I have been testing different ones, and it seems like the small ones are not good enough, or at least I read the other day that you have to be very specific. And the other one here, well, so that has been tested, and I think it's okay now. I can use some of the bigger models for now, just to get moving. But what is interesting here is that you can actually give this AI agent some tools. So imagine that you need to book a vacation. So instead of Googling and using ChatGPT to figure things out, you can just give a inquiry to the AI agent and say, hey, I need to go by airplane. I need to go from this to that date. And I want to go to this destination. And then this AI agent, by using the LLM here, ChatGPT or whatever, and then you will give it some tools. You will give it booking system, you will give it access to your calendar, you will give it access to where you can look up hotels, and it might even you might give it a tool for sending emails. So what it will do is essentially go out and find an airplane, it will find the hotels, it will calculate the prices, whatever, so you can also give it a calculator, and it will send it all to you. And then you can say, yeah, that seems fine. And then it will go out and actually book all the stuff for you. That's the idea here. So what we want to do with this AI agent is essentially to get an inquiry about Martinus. That's the purpose of this agent. And it can do the same thing, right? So here we give it different tools. There's an index, so it can actually look up synonyms. There are some tricky ones in Martinus text, so that's one thing. For instance, if we set reincarnation, then it can look up, or that's actually cross-reference, so it can say, are there any similar things to reincarnation that I should look out for? There's an index here where I can look up reincarnation and find all the places where Martinus has written about it. And that should also have access to the actual text, so you will get a lot of text actually. And then you have a vector database. That's essentially another way. I've explained it quite a lot of times, but essentially you chunk the text into sections, and then what is called embedding, and that's what I will look into today, is well, you take the chunks and you do some calculations on them, and then you find things that are close to each other. So for instance, it could be that everything that has to do with reincarnation, that would be in one area. Here it's oranges and apples and bananas. So when I write what is reincarnation, it will actually look up in this database, and you will, that's that here, get all the information that we have about reincarnation. So that's a vector database, and that's where I would like to start actually. And right now it's very, very simple, the one we have. It's essentially taking the text and it chunking it up in chunks of 1,000 characters, I believe. So those chunks are not really, I mean, Martinus has sections and they're just split up in weird ways. So the idea here is basically, and maybe I can use draw, use paint. So we have the, how do I do that? Can I write? Yeah. So here we have Martinus text, right? And he has one section here, and they are in different sizes. Maybe there's a little one, and a big one that goes on to the next page, or whatever, right? Different sizes, and right now we are just chunking them up in 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, maybe a little bit of this one, 1,000, and maybe this one also overlaps. And there's a reason why he has done that. So every section in Martinus' work is kind of has its own little point, you can say. So what I would like to do is to have the same sections. Gonna write them really nice and accurate. There we go. A little one here. This one goes on. So the idea here is essentially, so what is happening when you look up in a vector database is that it takes these, returns these chunks, right? So it can be in the middle of somewhere where it, even for, well, also for human, I should say, is really difficult to make any sense of it. So what I would like to do is to take the sections Martinus has already made, like this one, and make it into one chunk. And that requires a few, and obviously also the next one. So this will be, if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, I have no idea whether you can see all these dots. So this will be 1, right? And this will be number 2. This will be 3. And 4, and I think you get the point, right? So that would be the idea. So instead of just taking these small chunks with 1,000 characters and return them, whatever the system found was close to reincarnation, for instance, then in this case, I would get the whole section. Martinus sections are also just, I mean, it can be one word and there can be a lot of other things where he has just made a note of it or something, but at least you get an idea. Well, you get a whole section, and that should, the meaning of that section should be more clear at least. So now the question is, how do I do this? Because this, obviously just chunking them in 1,000 characters is quite simple, right? It's just given all the text, and it starts just start at the beginning, and then it start chopping them, and then put it into the database, and then do this embedding, which is essentially take the text and then put it into, where is it? That's not the one. Let me do this. So it just chunks them up like what I showed here, that we have. It actually puts some numbers on it, and then it can calculate when it actually do the prompting what is close to that. That's the idea. I lost my train of thoughts a little bit here. Anyway, so there are a few tasks here. Obviously, when you just have the text running and you chop it up, it's pretty easy to just start from the beginning, and then for every 1,000 words, you just stop there, copy that last 1,000 words, put it into the database, go to the next one. So there's no data transformation, is called. That's when you change what your data. And in this case, the data is our text, Martinus text. So the first thing is data. Do I have a, is that text too? Yeah. Data transformation. Can I delete that? What did I use before? I'm not used to use this one. Ah, come on. Tell me I can move it. Damn it. How do I do that? I selected everything. Brilliant. Invert. No. No selection. Here you go. Okay. Okay, I don't want to spend all the time figuring out how Paint is working. Anyway, so the idea here is to have the text. Let me just write it. So we need the text in, we need the section number, we need the book, we need section number. I'm gonna not be happy with myself writing it here. We need the section number, we need the title or whatever it has, the section title, and then we need the, so this is the section number, section title, and we need the text, base text. So if we have that, so we know what book it's from, or article or whatever, it's not, it's gonna be complicated at some point. We have the section number in the Book of Life. There are 2,500 something. We have the section title, and then we have the actual text that's in there. I'm not gonna chop it up on lines or paragraphs or something. It's just gonna be the big ones for now. Then we can maybe do more later on. But that has to happen. That's one thing. So it's gonna be different sizes. So that's one big difference between the one we have right now and the one I'm trying to do here. So here all the data chunks are 1,000 characters, and here they are varying from not that many to quite a lot. And that's just how it is. So that's the first thing, that we need to find a way to actually generate this data. And I have some ways to do that. It's just some work, and it's gonna take a longer time than just having the books flat out. Luckily, I have some access to that might make it easier for me to actually do this. This might actually be pretty quickly for me to do for at least some of the books, the main part of Martinus' work. So then the next part is to actually embed this. So as I said here, they are the same. So in the next one, I need to embed text of different sizes. So that's one thing I have to be able to do. Maybe that's the only one that's really critical here. And I need to find a vector database that I can use for that. And it has to be work from the workflow I'm using is called N8N, or automate or something like that. And then I need to be able to run it locally. And that's what I plan to look into right now. I just want to check one. So this is essentially, yeah, that's the research project for now. And I have no idea whether it takes 5 minutes or it takes, I won't be able to do it today. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, some things are weird. Anyway, so I did not show it all. Brilliant. That's why you need viewers that can actually tell you that something is not on the screen. I'm not gonna say it all again. I just, here's the data transformation, the book sections, yada yada, all that. And I need to find a database that can manage different sizes, or at least the embedding. So what is going on is that you have the embedding. That's an E and an M. That puts it into the database. That's a D, and that's a database. So the AI agent can look up. That says agent. Can actually look up in the database. So this is what needs to happen today. I won't be able to make it, but I have to figure out how to do it. And the whole idea is to ensure that I know where things are coming from. Because in this first, the current solution, I haven't really told. I mean, there are some numbers here and there, but there are definitely some of these that are just in the middle of a section. And the AI doesn't know where it's coming from. So that's the first step to figuring out how this is working, how to do this. And before I do that, I would like to check one thing. And that's a little bit of it last time. Do this. Go back again. The vector database is dependent on models, and the AI agent is as well. And I was testing some agents last time. I want to do that again. So I didn't quite get where I wanted last time. So I think I also worked on the prompt. I remember I ran out of credits last time. So now I want to use the go. I'm actually a little bit tired. Anyway, Pro. So now I'm using the latest one, Gemini 2.5. Checking the chat. What is the living being? According to Martinus. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you do this. For instance, there are other Martinuses in the world. So that's one thing you will see sometimes, that it picks the wrong one. And now it's running, and I can actually see it. It takes a while. A little bit surprising. And the TTS, the text to speech, is absolutely not useful. That's so brilliant. I have a bad feeling about this. Yeah, error. I think what is going on is that I do not have credits for it, which is annoying. But it's Google, so they're pretty cheap. It's retrieving too many. God damn it. Let me see if I can do it here. I give it one more shot. So what happened was essentially that I don't have enough. I have the free version of Gemini, and there are not enough credits, so I have to pay for it, which is okay. Just not there yet. Could really use some music for this. That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be nice. It's running. It's beautiful or something. I think I'll get the same error again. I just wanted to try. It's been running longer than the last one. Yeah, same problem. Anyway. Give it one more shot. Okay, so I can actually run the experimental one. That's nice. There. So now I have the latest. Let's just do it like this. What is the living being? Let's see if we got something. It's so annoying that I don't get the. It's actually here. Ah, it's not. Okay, for some reason that's a script that doesn't run. Here we go. 4 of them. Just gonna skip. That's not what I wanted to see. Okay, that was the 2 with the errors. So the response was empty. So this is the latest, and it's actually getting a little bit of knowledge. Jesus. Okay, there are quite a lot of stuff going on. According to Martinus, the living being is the alpha and omega of all analysis, the main answer behind all forms of macrocosmos, and so forth. Okay. It can be improved quite a lot. In the profound spiritual science presented by Martinus Thompson, understanding the concept of the living being is paramount. It isn't just one concept among many. I'm getting distracted all the time. At its heart, a living being. Okay, so it's what the living being is, not reincarnation. At its heart, a living being is defined as an absolute, inseparable unit formed by two fundamental phenomena, eternity and time. He actually wrote it like that in some areas. These aren't merely abstract philosophical ideas, but core components of reality. I think he would call it principles, but I take it. Eternity corresponds to the unchangeable aspect of existence. That's correct. Martinus identifies this with the I or the self, sometimes denoted as X. This is what the AI knows itself, basically. I can see what it has gotten to work with. The I is the core identity, the fundamental something that is, the observer and the creator behind all experience. Yes, however, Martinus clarifies that the I in isolation, the void of experience, is not yet a living being. It is the potential, the unmanifested essence. Yeah, I don't know about this potential thing. Time, conversely, corresponds to the changeable aspect. This encompasses the organism, the body, the entire realm of created phenomena, movement, consciousness, and the continuous flow of the experience of life. It is through this changeable aspect of the eternal I manifests and abstracts with existence. It's the world of form, sensation, thought, and feeling, the dynamic states upon which life unfolds. Yes, I've done some videos on that as well, and it's a huge part of Martinus' work. The crucial insight here is that the unity, the living being, is neither eternal I nor the transient organism and so forth. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty good in itself. So the idea is essentially to say to it, use this specific text and only that. There's not a lot of errors in this. So maybe I would still like to feed it with some stuff and say, hey, use this. Because it actually makes, and then force it to only use Martinus text. I think it will make better answers. That's the idea. Anyhow, going back to the other one, and I think I will stream the whole night today. So what I need to do is do like this. So now I will essentially ask an AI how to do this. Okay. I would like to make a local vector database in wire Docker. I should be able to call it from init8. Have different sizes of text. That's what I wrote about, right? Be able to make references to the text chunks. What else? Bum, 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 bum. Please provide me with a solution for the vector database. Right now I am using Gemini 2.5 for what am I actually using for embedding right now? I think I'm using Ulama for embeddings, but could use Gemini 2.5, I guess. Instead, I guess, please provide me with a solution. Write me with a suggestion for the vector base quadrant, whatever. How to set it up via init8. This is gonna be fun. Okay, seems like I can use the same one. Okay, so I can use the same. I use the quadrant one right now. Performance specifically designed for vector similarity search, has a clear API, and I've used Docker support. Okay, that's pretty good because I already got that. I need to go and grab something really quickly. Alrighty. So quadrant, that's good. It can, yeah. It's good for a lot of things. And I've already set it up, so I can drop all that. And then REST API using its HTTP request node. And that's a collection, that's the whole thing. So that will be the work of Martinus. I don't use Elasticsearch, so that's okay. Individual entries in a collection, each having a unique ID, a vector. Yeah, so that was how you find it. Payload, a JSON object associated with a vector. This is where you will store your text chunks and references. Okay, so we need to do a JSON object. That's fine. And the embeddings to send them to the database. Okay, that might be easier than I thought. So first we have to put all the stuff into the database. This workflow takes text, chunks it, generates embeddings, and observes it into the quadrant. Okay. Trigger how you start. Get the text. I can do that. I already got that. Then we have the chunks. Yeah, so I need something that can chunk it. I have to figure that one out. Thought about putting each section into a file. I just fear it's gonna take forever to read it. So it could also be just a database and where it loops all the... Okay, so I need to figure that one out. How to get the chunks created. I can ask it. Python or DB or something else. Good. So I put in the full text and it does something, and I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure that out. Split into batches, split in batches node. process chunk one by one. Yeah. Oh. Okay, maybe I'll do that. So it's essentially instead of taking one by one, you take 50 or 100. Maybe I need to do that. I hope not. It's easier to take one by one because it's very simple. Take the next one, take the next one. If I take 50, I have to figure out how to chunk them and send them and make sure everything is sent and all those kind of things. Maybe it's not that hard. Generate embeddings inside the loop triggered by split in batches. So what we have here is, how do I make my process bigger? There. So we have all the text. Really nice. That goes. Oh, shoot. Computer died. So the text goes into boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so the text comes from a file. This is a file. And it goes into being chunked into smaller pieces. And they have different sizes. Yeah. And then it's gonna be embedded. It's that one. This part. Inside loop triggered by split in batches. So we need some logic to do that. We also already noted that. Option A, Olama. Embeddings, blah, blah, blah. Post, Olama, model name, prompt, JSON. Just based on how you pass data to the loop, you might need to iterate within the batch using another code node or item list. You're sending multiple prompts at once, depending on Llama-Bot's capability. I have no idea what that means. Important note, dimension of the embeddings your Llama model produces. Mistral often produces blah, blah, blah. This one, yeah. Yeah, I know that. Gemini. Use the dedicated Gemini code. Note. Yeah. I'll need an API key. I got that. Don't know if I have the money, but I can figure that out. And the embeddings. So I need to know that one. I need to know the dimensions. Output, you now have the text chunk, its metadata, and its corresponding vector embedding. Determining embedding dimension ensure you know the exact number of dimension. So that's also the X, Y, Z. That's 3 dimensions. These ones has 700 or 4,000 dimensions. So that's something. So there's a lot of ways to distinguish things. Create collection. Yeah, so that's in quadrant. I have to do that. Let's write that. Format data for quadrant. Structure the data from the embedding step and chunking step into the form of quadrant. Expect for upserting points. You'll need a unique idea for each point, a UUI idea generator node, or combining source plus chunk idea can work. Chunk data, text, source chunk idea, embedding vector. Okay. So it's this part, right? So here we got a 3-dimensional vector. These are these numbers. 0 point something, 0 point something, 0 point something. Then we have the text. That could be Apple. Then we have the source. That could be the Book of Life. And then we have a chunk index, which I don't understand what it is right now. Okay. Upsert points to quadrant. Send the format data to quadrant. Okay, so then we points. Makes the API call, wait until changes are processed. Points. Not quite sure I get all of this, but I get the notion of it. Body row JSON needs to be an object with a points key containing an array of the points object created in the previous step. Okay, so it's all the stuff. Okay, so this is actually inserting the thing. And you can have as many as you want. Maybe just one at a time would be fine. That would be 2,500. Over 10,000. It will take a while, but I can start with 10 just to test it, and then when it works, I can put all of them in, and it's a one-off. This is establishing the database here. So now we're in the next step, that querying the quadrant database. So this is our agent here that sends here. So that's that step we have to do here. This workflow takes a query, generates its embedding, and searches quadrant for similar vectors. Yeah. Trigger, manual webhook, that's what we have, receives a user query text. So that's asking. And generate query embedding, use the same embedding model. Yes, I know that. Search the quadrant, blah, blah, blah. So this is our query. And yada, yada, yada. That's good. So we're asking for the test. The output from the HTTP request node will be a JSON object containing a result array. That's actually what I would like to have. Right now I have an agent that crunches all of it. So I actually get quite a lot of data, and it just summarizes into nothing, which is not great. Each item in the array represents a found point and includes its ID, score, and the payload, including the text, that's the chunk, and the reference. So I'm getting it all back from this vector database. You can then format this for display or further processing. Cool. Let's use the same embedding model. I know that. The size, embedding dimension, the size specified with creating quadrant cloud. Yeah, that's the what is it? That's the here we go. I haven't liked my own stream. What the hell? Chunking strategy. Experiment with different chunking strategies. Size overlap. Yeah. Error handling. Add error handling in a okay. Meh. Okay. Sounds pretty good. I can do that. I needed to ask it for something, right? Thanks, Mr. AI. What would be a good way to get the chunks made? Python script, put it into a database to retrieve them from. I have like 10,000 pages that are divided into sections that are about a page long. The sections are in different books and articles that I need to be able to reference. I thought it might be good to have it in a database so I can check the data before embedding it. Woohoo! Should not probably not show all that. Get away with that. So having an int, yeah, okay, so it's sensible. It makes sense. You don't want to run through 10,000 pages every time. And you can add things and you can rerun it and you have it under better control. Having intermediate step to process, store, and potentially review, validate, and chunk, blah, 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 blah. And it's even an excellent idea. SQLite. Chunk, why Python? Python is excellent for processing. So there will be some stuff on doing that. think I'm pretty close to having a database already. So it shouldn't be that difficult. Why SQLite? It's serverless. The entire database is just a single file on your disk. No complex setup needed. Okay. Easy to interact with from Python. N8 has a dedicated SQLite node. Okay, fair enough. And various free database browser tools like DB browser for SQLite. Sufficient for storing text chunks and metadata, even for tens of hundreds of thousands of chunks. Yeah, it's a one-off, so it's not so bad. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Where should I run Python and SQLite? Can I get access to it from my Docker installation of NN8? I've had issues getting from NN8 to a local drive. Run Python as well on the host, on the DB into the NN8. Yeah. Okay, that looks doable. I don't like that. Okay. Something like that. Something like that. I have to figure that out. Anyway, that's not for the stream. So now I know how to do the embeddings with different sizes, which is nice. And I know how to do references. I know how to do the book stuff. So I think I can cross that one out. We went through all the models. I told you I have a Discord server. We'll try the TTS, which was there. I think that's the most positive thing. It sounds like.
Input, what is the living being? Response, to hashtag the living being, unveiling the core of existence in Martinus's cosmology. In the profound spiritual science presented by Martinus Thompson, understanding the concept of the living being is paramount.
It's a little bit of an annoying voice.
It isn't just one concept among many. Martinus positions it as the fundamental analysis, the essential key to comprehending the universe, nature, and life itself, from the grand scale of the macrocosmos down to the intricate details of the microcosmos. So, what exactly constitutes a living being according to Martinus? At its heart, a living being is defined as an absolutely inseparable unit formed by two fundamental phenomena, eternity and time. These aren't merely abstract philosophical ideas, but core components of reality. Eternity corresponds to the unchangeable aspect of existence. Martinus identifies this with the I or the self, sometimes denoted as X. This I is the core identity, the fundamental something that is, the observer and creator behind all experience. However, Martinus clarifies that the I in isolation, devoid of experience, is not yet a living being. It is the potential, the unmanifested essence. Time, conversely, corresponds to the changeable aspect. This encompasses the organism, the body, the entire realm of created phenomena, movement, consciousness, and the continuous flow of the experience of life. It is through this changeable aspect that the eternal I manifests and interacts with existence. It's the world of form, sensation, thought, and feeling, the dynamic stage upon which life unfolds. The crucial insight here is the unity. The living being is neither the eternal I alone, nor the transient organism and its experiences alone. It is the indivisible combination of both. The state of being living arises precisely when the eternal I gains the ability to experience itself through the changeable phenomena, the organism and the world of movement, that it creates. The I animates the changeable, and the changeable provides the medium for the I to experience and express itself. This dynamic interplay is the living being. This understanding radically reframes our perception of life and death. Martinus asserts that that which is truly living, the fundamental I united with its capacity for experience, is eternal. It cannot cease to be living, it cannot become dead. What we perceive as death is merely the cessation and replacement of the temporary, physical organism, which is only a part of the changeable aspect of the living being. The underlying I and its inherent ability to experience persist eternally, moving through endless cycles of manifestation. Furthermore, Martinus describes living beings as existing with varying qualities, such as being loving or unloving, primitive or intellectual. This suggests that the state of consciousness and the expression of the living being evolve over time, reflecting different stages in its eternal journey. Our everyday perception typically focuses on the changeable aspect, the physical body, the fleeting thoughts and emotions. This is because the changeable is manifest and readily observable. The eternal, unchangeable I remains behind the scenes, the silent witness. Yet, it is this eternal core, forever united with its capacity for experience within time, that constitutes the true, undying living being, the foundational reality of all existence in Martinus's world picture.
Okay, there you have it. I can do a... Should follow it with that every time. Every time. So, boom, boom. I'm just hanging out. Hello. Okay. You can give the chat a shot if you like. If you want to do that. See what happens. 4 likes. Did I actually change it back? Uh-oh. Yeah, it should be working. Alrighty. Let's have a look. Thanks for asking. Ah, come on. Okay, that's actually correct. Damn it. I need to give it some information about who Martinus is. It actually doesn't have it. Let's see if there's another one. Okay, I need to do the... Make the text a little bit smaller. Come on. I just had it. Yeah, Martinus answer. Select font. Font maybe 32. Did I miss something? I don't know. Hey. Okay. Yeah, I can make this text shorter. Okay, let's try to hear what it says.
Input, what is eternity? Response, to hashtag eternity, beyond time in Martinus's world picture. In the vast cosmic framework presented by Martinus Thompson, the concept of eternity holds profound significance. It's not simply a measurement of endless duration, as we might colloquially understand it, but rather a fundamental principle, a core aspect of the very nature of existence and the living being. To grasp Martinus's perspective, we must distinguish eternity sharply from its counterpart, time. Martinus explains that reality, particularly the reality of a living being, is an indivisible unity of two fundamental phenomena, eternity and time. These two concepts represent the unchangeable and the changeable aspects of existence, respectively. While time encompasses the ever-flowing stream of creation, movement, experience, and the constant flux of the organism and consciousness, eternity stands apart as something entirely different. Eternity, in Martinus's analysis, is synonymous with the unchangeable. It is identified with the core essence of the living being, the fundamental I or self, sometimes referred to as X. This I is the uncreated, underlying reality, the persistent observer and creator behind the veil of transient phenomena. It is the something that is, the foundational point of existence that remains constant amidst the ceaseless becoming of the temporal world. Crucially, Martinus emphasizes that eternity is not an infinitely long stretch of time. It doesn't exist within the sequence of past, present, and future. Instead, eternity exists outside of time altogether. It is the timeless ground of being, the static principle that underpins the dynamic unfolding of the universe. While time is characterized by sequence, duration, and change, eternity is characterized
I will
by
try to put
persistence,
the same
stillness,
answer.
and
What is
unchanging
eternity?
presence.
See if it gets shorter this
Think
time.
of time as the movie playing on the screen, full of action, change, and sequence. Eternity, in this analogy, is the screen itself, the unchanging background upon which the entire movie unfolds, without which the movie could not be perceived. It is the stable reality that makes the experience of change possible. The I, being identical with eternity, is therefore uncreated and beyond the cycles of birth and death that characterize the realm of time. The organism, consciousness, and experiences belong to time. They are created, they change, and they pass. But the eternal I, the core self, remains untouched by these temporal processes. However, eternity does not exist in isolation. It forms an inseparable unit with time. The eternal I requires the realm of time, the changeable world of creation and experience, to manifest, perceive, and create. Without time, the I would remain an unexpressed potential. Conversely, the phenomena of time derive their meaning and existence from the underlying eternal reality. This profound union of the unchangeable, eternity, the I, and the changeable, time, the organism, experience, constitutes the living being in its fullness. Understanding eternity as this timeless, unchangeable foundation, intrinsically linked to the I, is fundamental to grasping Martinus's vision of life as an eternal journey of experience and creation, far transcending the limits of a single physical lifespan. It points to a reality deeper and more persistent than the fluctuating world we perceive through our senses.
Okay, it's running. So lame. But it's funny. Okay, no channel to channel. Draw. Damn it. Okay. Okay, it cannot. Anyway. Boom. Do we get it? Do we have it? Yeah. So now I have asked it to do a shorter version. And it did. Nice. Okay, let's actually hear this one.
Input, what is eternity? Response, to ## eternity, the unchanging foundation in Martinus's view. In Martinus Thompson's cosmology, eternity is not merely endless time, but a fundamental aspect of reality itself, distinct from time.
Yeah.
Together, eternity and time form the inseparable unit that constitutes a living being.
Yeah.
Martinus identifies eternity with the unchangeable aspect of existence, the core I or self, sometimes denoted X. This is the timeless, uncreated essence, the fundamental something that is which underlies all experience. It is the stable observer and creator.
Yeah.
Conversely, time represents the changeable, the organism, consciousness, movement, and the continuous flow of life's experiences. Time is the realm of creation, change, and sequence. Crucially, eternity exists outside of time. It is not an infinite duration but a static, timeless principle. It's the unchanging ground upon which the dynamic events of time unfold. The eternal.
My focus span is like a 2-year-old. Conversely, time represents the changeable, the organism, conscious movement, and the continuous flow of life's experience. Yes, time is the realm of creation, change, or sequence. Weird word. Anyway, crucially, eternity exists outside of time in pinks. That's really good. Organism. It's not an infinite duration, but a static timeless principle. It is not an infinite duration. It's Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's the unchanging ground upon which the dynamic events of time unfold. The eternal I is beyond birth and death, which are processes belonging only to the changeable realm of time. While distinct, eternity and time are fundamentally united. Yes. The eternal I requires the realm of time to manifest and experience. What? While distinct, eternity and time are fundamentally united. Yeah, that's what makes up the living being. The eternal I requires the realm of time to manifest and The eternal I requires the realm of time to manifest and experience. Requires the realm of time to manifest and experience. Forming the complete living being through the essential. Well, it's not wrong. Where did my other one go? Didn't I have one more? What is the living being? Maybe I can force it actually. Okay, these length of answers are a little nicer. A little nicer. Yeah, that's good. Input. I can actually change the speed of the TTS.
Input, what is the living being? Response, to hashtag the living being, a union of time and eternity. According to Martinus Thompson, the living being is the absolute cornerstone of existence, the fundamental unit needed to understand reality. It is not merely a physical body, but an inseparable unity of two core phenomena, eternity and time. Eternity represents the unchangeable aspect, the core I or self. This is the timeless, uncreated observer and creator behind all phenomena. Time, conversely, is the changeable aspect, encompassing the organism, consciousness, movement, and the flow of experience. It's the realm where the I manifests and interacts. Crucially, Martinus states that neither the eternal I alone nor the temporal phenomena alone constitute a living being. The state of being living emerges precisely from the union of these two. The eternal I experiences itself through the changeable world of time. This means the true
Let's ask it about something completely different. What is the view of Martinus on the future society? If you have anything, yeah. Thank you. Do we marry each other in the future? That's not an easy question. Martinus is talking about a lot of different things. Marriage is one of them. I got 2 views. I don't get it. It's so weird. I got 9 views. Whatever. Okay, the cool thing about streaming is that it goes pretty quickly, 2 hours. Input. What is the view of Martinus on the future of society? Glimpsing the future society, a Martinus perspective. Martinus wrote a lot about this. Well, at least quite a lot. According to Martinus' insights, the society of the future will be shaped by a profoundly evolved sense of justice. This future, future understanding will move far beyond current notions of punishments or revenge, driven by the expanding consciousness of individuals. Society's concept of justice will progressively align with the fundamental laws of life, which will eventually be understood not as abstract theories, but as demonstrable facts, pure truth. That's pretty good, actually. This deeper comprehension will I cannot pronounce that word. I can take these off. Inevitably lead to judicial laws vastly different from those we know today. Yeah, they're different. The pathway to this future involves looking forward and upward. Okay. Embracing God's will, universal love, and world peace rather than being anchored to past traditions. Change will often be initiated by pioneers, individuals whose advanced thinking may initially be met with resistance, but who ultimately guide society forward. Crucially, change will often be initiated by pioneers, individuals whose advanced thinking may initially be met with resistance, but who ultimately guide society forward. Crucially, new ideals and communities should integrate seamlessly into the broader society, enriching the whole rather than standing apart as separate entities. Okay. I don't know. It's not bad. It's not bad. But is it that great? I don't know. Let's do the next one in a second. Just need to put a few things in here. Alrighty. Oh my God. I didn't mean to push that one. That's annoying. Even I woke up. Let's take the next one. Here we go. It was necessary. Okay. The unnecessary calamity. Oh. Okay, I'll just redo that one. Is war necessary, maybe? Necessary. Was that what you meant? Okay. But it kind of figured it out. Is war truly necessary? According to the worldview presented by Martinus, war represents mankind's most terrible enemy, a profound evil born not from necessity, but from a fundamental absence. Well, when love is lacking, it gives way to anger, hatred, and intolerance, the very condition that make conflicts possible. One of the main points in Martinus' work is that there's a period of time where you actually have to go through with that, with war. That's a long story, and it's not for right now. War is fueled by deep ignorance and naivety about the true spiritual nature of existence. It arises when we view others merely as physical matters to be controlled or manipulated, forgetting their inherent spiritual essence. This cosmic ineptitude, I pronounced that wrongly, as Martinus describes it, leads to action driven by force rather than understanding. Ultimately, war prevents genuine peace and happiness, even those who might claim victory. Even for those who might claim victory. As long as force reigns, true harmony remains elusive. Humanity becomes enslaved by the very tools of this world. Okay. Meh. It's kind of right. But there lacks some depth to it for sure. So, do we marry each other in the future? The evolving landscape of marriage, a future perspective. Let's just hear it.
Input: do we marry each other in the future? Response: to hashtag the evolving landscape of marriage, a future perspective. Will marriage, as we know it, persist into the future? According to Martinus' analysis, the institution of marriage is currently undergoing a profound transformation, marked by a trend towards progressive undermining and dissolution. This shift is not arbitrary but linked to human evolution. As individuals advance intellectually, the desires and motivations that traditionally underpinned marriage, often rooted in patterns from past lives, begin to fade. The intense, all-consuming in-love state, frequently idealized, is viewed as a temporary phase rather than a sustainable foundation for a lifelong union in future evolutionary stages. The very sexual structure of human beings is evolving, making the expectation of enduring romantic passion within the traditional marriage model increasingly unrealistic for the modern intellectual terrestrial human being.
Wow.
Consequently, marriage may continue only as an artificial phenomenon for some or become totally impossible for others as humanity progresses. This trajectory suggests that marriage is not seen as the ultimate or lasting ideal for relationships in the future, with its current form facing an inevitable decline that societal authorities cannot ultimately prevent. The future points towards different forms of connection as human consciousness continues to expand.
Yeah. It's not great. But it's one of those where there might be some language in it too. That you can actually say this in English and be right. To me, it sounds weird. Well, it's not completely false, but it's not that great either. Let's try the next one. Is war necessary? War necessary evil or unnecessary calamity? Is war unnecessary? I think it's better than I read it myself, because else I lose focus. Is war unnecessary part of the human experience? According to the perspective presented, war is fundamentally unnecessary and arises from profound mental darkness. That's just plain wrong, according to Martinus. It's a long story about that we need something, not that we need, but there is something called a contrast principle, where we need light and darkness in order to experience anything. And one of the dark things that we need to experience is war. That's the unpleasantness. We need to experience that. It's correct that it's mental darkness or lack of love. But it's not, I would say it's wrong to say it's fundamentally unnecessary. It's part of this huge circular thing that we live our eternal life in. It is characterized as an uninterrupted or prolonged display of energy in favor of all disharmony, a true nightmare of people. Yeah. That's not really Martinus. Rather than being a requirement for progress, war is seen as an organic phenomenon, a deeply ingrained habitual consciousness. Okay, let me try something. Is war necessary according to Martinus? It persists not out of necessity, but because humanity, shrouded in ignorance and naivety, currently lacks the spiritual maturity to overcome the ingrained tendency. The last part is what Martinus says. Because we are not there yet, we have not overcome it. Described as mankind's most terrible enemy, war is an evil that destroys culture and prevents true peace. It's not a force to be met with physical weapons, but a state of consciousness rooted in disharmony that must ultimately be transcended through the development of love and understanding. Yeah, now we're talking. Therefore, from this viewpoint, war is not again, back to the original, war is not a necessary step, but a tragic manifestation of current spiritual limitation. Yeah, so that's not right. Det er not right. Do we have one new one? Nope. I have a quote. Almost there. done yet. Error. The first error of the night. And I ran out of credits. Damn. It's not too bad. I don't need credits on that one. Okay, so now I'm gonna run the same thing on an old version. See what it says. That's quick. 2 seconds. Not bad. It's not necessary. Martinus' view is war necessary. According to Martinus' worldview, war is not a necessary element of human existence, but rather a consequence of mental darkness or lack of love. We can get rid of it. It's seen as an expression of disharmony and nightmare for humanity. Martinus describes war as an organic phenomenon, a deeply ingrained habitual consciousness passed down from less evolved stages. This perspective suggests that war persists not because it's essential, but because humanity in its current state of ignorance and naivety has not yet fully developed the spiritual maturity to transcend this harmful pattern. Yeah, now we're talking. War, therefore, is considered mankind's most terrible. Why is it keep saying that? Why does it say that? Got one issue. It has a lot of memory. Let's try again. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Did it finish? According to Martinus, war is not a necessary evil, but rather a manifestation of ignorance and spiritual immaturity. It rises from a state of cosmic ineptitude, reflecting a lack of understanding and mastery over the life processes. Condition leads to naivety and helplessness, ultimately making individuals susceptible oh my God, it can use some words, to the destructive forces of conflict. It arises from a state of cosmic ineptitude, reflecting a lack of understanding, mastery over the life processes. Yeah. This condition leads to naivety and helplessness, ultimately making individuals susceptible to the destructive forces of conflict. Okay. Martinus views war as something detrimental that humanity seemingly has no control over. Yeah. From one view, paradoxically, as our technological advancement increases our capacity for violence, we become ever more enslaved to the war machine. This escalating cycle of destruction highlights our spiritual blind spot and our failure to recognize the interconnectedness of all life. True progress, according to Martinus, lies not in perfecting the tools of war, but in cultivating cosmic consciousness and transcending the limitations of our current understanding. Only then we can break free from this illusion of war, necessity, and embrace a future of peace and harmony. I don't know. It's not precise enough. Anyway, I just found this. There's a book, and it's based on 15 lectures Martinus held back in 1955, and I'm having a course with someone, together with someone else. Meeting once a month, and we had a meeting here. And Martinus has this notion that everything is very good, and it can be a little bit rough to understand. And there was just a quote here that kind of gave me the idea what it means. So Martinus writes, and I'm just translating it as we go. It's only in Danish. So I just found this one interesting. So, seen from the side of God, or in a godly view, from the cosmic consciousness, a cosmic view, there's nothing of all this, and Martinus has just described. Let me see what he's describing here. We have to reincarnate into the world, the physical one, to get experience. Some experiences has the effect that you die in mostly before you're even born, basically. Others that you die within a couple of months into your life, right after you're born. In other cases, you die later, and others that you die naturally of aging. Not a lot dies from aging. Many people dies of sickness, etc. And now it comes. So seen from this godly view, this cosmic view, there's nothing of this, all the dying early, too early, very, very early, before you're even gone into the physical world. There's none of it that goes against this notion that everything is very good. Martinus states that everything in the world is very good. And we're talking about wars and all this. That's why I kind of remembered that we talked about this one. So everything is very good. This is a sign that, and here comes a quote. This is the godly view on things. Let me see if I can translate this, because it's kind of funny in a way. It's kind of a way of saying, sounding a little bit surprised, or just saying, see all these students basically. Second math. Let me see if I can. What a mess. Okay, I'll do this good. So it basically, what a lot of students, what a lot of them, doesn't sound good. Anyway, how many of these are, there are so many of these that are learning to think. There's a lot that needs to learn to think. And how splendid it all is. Oh, it sounds so much better in Danish. And essentially Martinus states, this is from a lecture. That's how the view of God is. So, okay. So the essence of this is that God is looking at what is happening. In this case, the people are dying early, but also just what is happening in the world, right? And essentially, Martinus states that the thinking of God is basically, there are so many students. We are all students, right? We are all learning. So many that are learning to think, basically stating that there are so many of us who doesn't know how to fully think, right? There's a lot of things we don't understand, so we think in a wrong way. So there are so many students, so many they're learning to think. A lot that needs to learn to think. And what a great process the whole thing is. So God is pretty happy about what is going on. That was just a very nice reading in some ways. That it's pretty messed up from what we see, but it's all how it's supposed to be. That's the thinking here. And it's just been kind of theoretical, understood it, but this I like this notion that it's all a big mess and we don't know what we're doing, but that's fine. Moving on. I like that. So, because it can be quite theoretical in a way that, you're doing, everything is very good because we need to understand the contrast, have contrast in our life in order to experience, yada, 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 all that. But here it's just like, they have no clue what they're doing, but that's just funny or something, right? It's not, it's exactly how it's supposed to be. Yeah, I have a couple of young family members and they do stupid things, but that's what you do. It's gonna be fine someday, right? They'll learn. They're just gonna, if they put their hands into the fire, they get burned, but whatever. It's fine. It's fun. It's good. I like that. Anyhow, another day at the streaming thing. It's 2.5 hours. It goes pretty quick. And it's still kind of messy, all of it. But there's a few comments, and who knows? I think I need to get the AI to answer a little bit better before I start really announcing this in a broader perspective or broader whatever. Kind of it has to be based on the text of Martinus, and it isn't right now to a sufficient degree. It actually retrieves quite a lot of text, and it but it summarizes it, and then it uses the summary to move on to act on, and that's not good enough. So I need to do this embedding I was looking into today, and I need to force it to actually use it. And I read that you can actually start by retrieving the data and then feed it into the agent. That should actually help. So I would like to do that, and if that goes well, I think I will ask some people to hammer it a little bit. And if it goes completely not great, then it is what it is. And it's Easter in a week. Maybe I can get it done to next Sunday, actually. That could be cool. It wasn't a big deal to do it. Make it 3.0, whatever. So I think I should be able to use a couple of days, and then we'll see. Anyway, 2.5 hours. It's nice. I think I will keep doing this until I have a real good AI. Did I just say that? Anyway, cool. On and out, I will put up one for next week. Let me just see if I can do that. I can put it up, but can I actually make it next Sunday? I should be able to do that. Yeah, I'll do it next Sunday, I believe. And then maybe the following Sunday as well. Cool. Over and out. I don't have an outro. I should probably have one at some point, but one thing at a time. Got TTS today, and I found out how to take the next step. And then I'll do the next step. I won't do that on stream. That's if I'm lucky, I can do it pretty quickly, actually. And then follow next week. Thanks for watching. Next week we'll have whatever. Just thanks for watching. Okay. Let me see if I can close the stream. Here we go. Thank you. See you around. Have a good one. Bye.